All right. It says we are live, Sarah. And welcome. Thank you for
Hi,
being back. I'm so glad you could make it again.
me too. Thank
Me
you for
too.
having me.
Thank you. Really been looking forward to it. And it's been a while since you've been back because of one thing or another. So I'm glad it worked out this week.
Oh,
Uh,
for sure.
and for those that don't know Sarah, we've got a pretty steady group of people. But people that don't, or somebody listening or watching later, Sarah has primarily corn snakes, and she is quite the expert. Whether she might poo-poo that, but she is. And she breeds them, and she sells some when she can keep them in stock. She's really low now. She sold a lot of her
Yeah.
babies. So, and she has a business called Sarah's Snakes
Sarah
and
Snake Shop.
Snake Shop.
Yep.
I knew something was wrong with that name, Sarah's Snakes.
It's all right.
But anyway, you'll see the links up there. Sam's here and Trash Cat's here, so they've already been posting the links and stuff. And there's Lori. Hey, Lori.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for posting everything. Thanks
You
for all the love in the chat. I see you all.
and you can go in there and look and see what she does have. And I think she's going to show us a few things. And I see Jenny Lynn in here. She definitely has one of your snakes at least. So, so,
Yeah,
so I'm going to shut up and let you talk what people came to see and hear. So let's
that's
start.
totally fine. And like, if you guys have like questions in the chat, I'm 100% here to answer whatever questions. If you have corn snakes or interested in corn snakes or anything corn snake related, morphs, breeding, whatever, feel free to jump in with a question whenever. That's what I'm here for. But I did bring some snakes to sort of show off for you guys. A few different sizes, different ages, different morphs. And if you guys like want to join in and ask questions, feel free to do that. So I'm just gonna like start with, so really quick. So this is what I have a couple of them just sitting in. And a male is definitely trying to breed with a female in here. They're
Snake point.
definitely trying to breed right now. So I'll start with the female who's the biggest. Come here, girl. The boy is very disappointed. So this is a full-sized corn snake. This is one of my sort of bigger females. We decided to name her Soreo after the person that I got her from, Jeff Soreo. She is a just hypomelanistic type corn snake. So she has the reds and yellow pigment, and she does have black pigment, but it's just really reduced to more of a brownish tan instead. That's what makes her a hypo. And so just to kind of give you an idea of like an adult, fully grown corn snake, she's a proven breeder. So she's bred for, I think, 2 years in a row. This stream just got demonetized. What do you mean? For what?
Snake breeding, I guess, is what he's kidding you.
Oh,
Snake porn.
oops. Well, nothing has actually happened. There's nothing shown. Everything is for educational purposes only, okay? Can't show it. Yeah, I actually didn't though. There was no actual breeding happening. There was just attempted breeding happening. So her name is Soreo, and I think she's about 6 years old now. And she is actually pretty new to my collection, but I kind of wanted to bring her on. A lot of people really like the super bright colors.
So she's basically what you would call a wild type or normal.
I would call her a hypomelanistic because she does have the reduced pigments. She doesn't have like all of her blacks. You can see her checkers are kind of more of a tan color, tan or brown. So she does she has some melanin, but it's just reduced a little bit.
Right. She's beautiful.
Thanks. I kind of like her. And of course we are gearing up for breeding season. The male over there is very unhappy that he's by himself again, but
So was it she that was in the box with him?
yeah. And I'm planning on pairing them anyway. So I figured if they do breed, it is what it is anyway. Um, and so she's a typical size that I would say she's kind of on the bigger side. Like you could breed a snake a little smaller than her, but she is what I would consider to be full sized. But the male is a bit smaller than her. So let me grab him and compare. Now, males can get to the same size as females, but they don't have to be as big to breed. So here's the boy she was with. As you can see, he's about 2 years old and he's substantially smaller than her. He is a proven breeder, though.
And what's his morph?
He is a charcoal. His name is Pepsi.
Oh, I've seen his picture before.
Oh yeah, he knows that there was a female in my hands a couple minutes ago. He blends in a little bit.
Yeah. He's like got the desert camo on, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. He's beautiful.
I really like them, obviously.
So what did he father before? What were his babies?
His babies were some sun-kissed, so he's het sun-kissed, and he had some charcoals. I don't think he had any aneries, but the female that I bred him to, I don't think was het anery, so I didn't expect it. But there's a ton of different mutations in his like lineage. He has diffused in his lineage and hypo, which is why I'm trying to breed him to her, because she also has a lot of these same mutations in her lineage. So I'm kind of trying to, test breed both of them. And I like to breed for variety. So anytime that I can breed like a visual to a het, I like to do that because I just get so much more variety that way. So I'm hoping that he ends up carrying a few of the same mutations that she does. That's what I'm hoping.
How old does I know it doesn't always go by age with these guys, but how big would he have to be to breed?
So he is about the typical size you could start breeding a male. But I have bred males that were smaller than him. He's probably not quite 200 grams. He's probably like 175 grams, give or take. And so I would say you could probably try to breed males at like 150 grams. I've seen some people breed males even smaller than that, like 125 grams. But like there just comes a point when they're not going to be developed enough because they're too small,
Right.
But he actually bred last season. So he was able to breed when he was a year younger than he is now. So he's 2. So he bred at a year old. Let's see. Chris. Hello, Chris.
Yeah.
Trying to say hi to everybody. I'm wearing him out. This is how I wear them out. If I have a snake that just like will not stop moving, I put them between my hands like this and just go until they stop.
It's got to be great exercise.
It's something. He's probably very confused that this is like snake treadmill time. I'm not pulling him. He is pushing forward. I'm just moving my hand back and forth as he pushes forward.
He's obviously enjoying
it. They eventually get tired and stop. And that's why we do it.
That's also a good enrichment activity, I would think.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Anything that's going to give them exercise, but also like get them more used to being held, and to trust you a little bit more. So it's going to be a good thing as long as they're digested and all that fun stuff. Off he goes again.
Here's the first dumb question. For me, I always have several, but
it's fine.
I have a female probably about the same size as yours, and she is a wild type. I thought the fellow I got her from told me that someone brought her in that had caught her in the wild. I'm pretty sure that's what he told me, but now he says that he doesn't remember that she's a wild type. But she's a nice, big, healthy female. Uh, what I would just call a normal, not a hypo or anything.
Yeah.
And some of my males are definitely big enough to mate with her. So I guess I should be just thinking about what morphs I have and what I would want to try with her. I don't know if she's receptive or not, though.
I mean, the only way to know is to try, Normally you'll know within the first 20 minutes if they're gonna lock. Oh, hello.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
I saw you say, hey guys in the chat, and I hope you haven't been there long.
No, good. Let me see that little noodle you got. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so this is Pepsi, the charcoal. We were just talking about how he's a 2-year-old and he is a proven breeder. So just to kind of give you an idea, the males do not need to be near as big as the females to breed. This will be his second year breeding.
Male better. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Wow. And I love his name too, Pepsi.
Pepsi. Yeah, so I kept 4 babies from the clutch and I named them Pepsi, Cola, Sprite, and Bark, like Bark's root beer.
Oh, cool.
I like to theme my clutches. I've had Minecraft theme, I've had Nightmare Before Christmas theme, I have had Lord of the Rings theme. Like I've had a ton of different themes. Obviously, soft drinks. I had one that was named after elements on the periodic table. So just anything like that. I love having themes for projects and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So he came from the soft drink clutch. He blends in.
He blends into your shirt perfectly.
Yeah. And he's got the nice checkerboard.
Oh wow!
Belly. Blend in even more.
Nice.
He's so tolerant too. He's like, okay, whatever. Put me upside down. Don't care.
Beautiful.
Because I wore him out earlier a little bit. So that's a 2-year-old. Now I'm gonna get out a 1-year-old. I brought the adult, the sub-adult, the yearling, and a new baby that just hatched. So give me 1 second to get out the 1-year-old.
Susie, we have to dock your pay because you were late.
I know, darn. I brought a note from my mom, though.
Oh,
that's okay. Scary.
Oh, that counts.
Away 10 years ago.
That counts. All right. Here's a yearling female. She's a little less tolerant of being held, but she is a normal, just a wild type, what I would consider to just be a wild type. She is available if anybody's looking for a nice, well-established yearling female. Her name's Arwen, so she came from the Lord of the Rings clutch.
Nice.
And she is het for anery and possibly het for 1,000 other things: diffused, amel, red coat, charcoal, sun-kissed, hypo, pretty much just about everything out there. She's possible het for it.
But that's what a normal looks like?
Yeah, she's pretty much just a normal. She's kind of in shed right now. Her colors are not quite as bright as normal, as they normally would be. There's her belly.
Oh, wow.
More of those checkers. And she is actually his nephew, the gray male that I just had, his nephew from last year. She hatched almost exactly a year ago. She's probably more like 10 months old, but getting close. And my phone's going off. Sorry about that.
She's not. She isn't old enough to have had a clutch yet.
Oh no, absolutely not. No. She wouldn't be old enough for at least another 2 years, probably. Because she's 1 year old now, and we usually say 3 years old is the kind of youngest to breed. The size is where what matters. It's the more like the 3 feet, 300 grams is going to be what matters more than the age. But yeah, she's not near being able to breed. It'll be about 2 years, I imagine. But she is super well started, so you don't have to worry about her being super fragile or just deciding to not eat one day for no reason, because that happens sometimes with little babies.
What is she on? Do you do the Reptilinks? I was trying to remember.
I do sometimes. She's actually just on peach fuzzy mice right now, but I don't. She just never really took to the Reptilinks too much. Some of them do, some of them don't, and that's fine. She just was more of a frozen thawed mouse snake.
So where in the stage of mice life is Peach Fuzzy?
So it's going to be a little bit smaller than just a regular fuzzy mouse, and bigger than a pinky. So a pinky has no fur, and a peach fuzzy will be like just barely starting to get fur, just a little bit of velvet. And then like a fuzzy mouse pretty much has like full hair, but is still like nursing.
Oh, wow.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the, like, because if once they're not nursing, that's pretty much a hopper. Maybe a small mouse, but I would say that's usually a hopper. And then you have your small, medium, large adults. But she's on just like the almost fuzzy, but not quite as big as a regular fuzzy phase.
Nice. I woke up today to hear some unusual chirping and or mice calls, and I started looking, and my babies, my hairless have babies. I can't believe that. I just got them. It seems like 2 months ago. Maybe it was 4 or 5, but she had 5 or 6 big babies in there.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Do you get those?
Go ahead.
The Reptilinks, do you get those directly from that company? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just go straight to them whenever I need it. And I usually will get other things from them too. Like I get chicks a lot because I have some snakes that just prefer either quail or day-old chicks. So you like the snake? I like the snake too. I love her little white dots that kind of go here. I don't know if you can see, but see how she has like white dot, and it's like everywhere. That's why she's still here. That's why I kept her as long as I did, because those dots are just super unique. But like I can't keep them all. That's really the problem. And my collection has nearly doubled in size. So I was like, somebody's got to be put up for sale. And so it ended up being her, because I kept her sister, who just has more of a like unique look, a different type of look. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. But I thought she was really cool. You can see those white dots all down her side.
Gorgeous. Yes.
Wow, she's pretty.
Yeah, I love that. So if anybody's looking for a yearling, her name's Arwen. If you want to contact me and say I want Arwen, this is her.
And what kind of snake is that?
She's just a normal corn snake.
Corn snake. Okay.
Yep, normal corn snake. Now I'm going to get out a hatchling baby that just hatched about a month ago. Actually, I want to say almost exactly a month ago, to compare in size, because everybody says they're so small. They're so small. Let me show you small. Hold on. And this little baby is also available. He's taken every meal that I've offered so far. So even this is a baby after a few meals. Come here, you. All right.
Oh my goodness. Look how little.
So you thought one of them was small. Look at that size difference.
Wow. He's a little feisty little baby.
He is feisty. She's like, what is your problem, dude? She's like, what
Now,
is
would they
wrong with
get
you?
along? Would they kind of get along if they were in the same enclosure?
I would not put them in the same enclosure. I'd say that the size difference is a bit too
Right.
much. She is holding on to this wire. Hold on. Come here.
Jenny Lynn wants to know if she's listed on your site.
So my website is not currently up. We're doing a lot of website renovations, but if you contact me on Morph Market, that is where everything is up available.
And what is your name on Morph Market?
Sarah Snake Shop, all one word.
Okay.
Not Sarah Snakes, like I tried to rename her.
It's okay. It's fine. So yeah, if you were wondering like the size difference, now you know.
Oh
Like
wow, that's
the
huge.
yearling is substantially bigger than the baby. I'm gonna put the yearling back because she's getting a little tired of being held.
How long does it take a corn snake to be fully matured or full grown in size?
I would say they grow about a foot per year for 3 to 5 years. Usually 3 years is when they're considered adults. And then up to 5 years is when they're usually full grown, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. And what's their lifespan usually?
I would say average 15 years in captivity, 12 to 15 years, but it can go all the way up to like 25 years. I think that I saw someone the other day that had one that made it like 28 years.
Wow.
Those are a little bit different. I think the oldest corn that I ever had was 24 when she passed. And I had inherited her from a breeder who had retired. So she was not a breeder for me. I was her retirement home. So,
right.
But she
so
was.
What do you think attributes to such a long life?
I really think it just depends. It depends on genetics, but also like, it's for one, making sure the collection stays clean is like the number one thing you can do for the longevity of the snake's life. So like making sure that you don't ever have parasites, making sure you follow quarantine protocols whenever you can, and just trying to make sure that your collection doesn't succumb to any kind of illness. Like, and also keeping up with your heating system too. Like those are the two biggest things I would say that are collection killers, is an illness that you lost control of or a heater that malfunctioned. Those are like the two biggest things that lead to like whole collection deaths. And so like if those are the two things that you can like keep in control, then you're doing a lot better than some people. And I'm not saying that those people like did poorly, things just happen sometimes, but like the more that you can keep those things in control, the better your collection's going to be long term, in my opinion.
Do you have any suggestions for like what would be one of the better made stable heater systems?
It really depends on the type of system that you want. The fewer cords, the better. I would say the fewer places that there's connections, the better, because each and every one of those connections could, like, the more connections you have, the more connections could go bad. And so the more connections you have, the more likely you will have some sort of short and some sort of wire somewhere. And so any kind of system that requires like less is better, in my opinion. This is my opinion. Sure. This is not going to be across the board for everybody. This is just my opinion. And so I prefer like an ambient temperature system where I have a space heater and a room that gets heated with the space heater. And the probe is like kind of in the upper portion of the room. And the room has natural light. And so the sunlight's going to heat up the room a little bit during the day. They're going to get that natural light. I also have UV light in the room, so they get extra UV if, obviously the room, the sunlight is going to filter, like it's going to filter out through the windows. The windows are going to filter out the UVB. So that's why you have extra UV in there. And so in my opinion, that's what works the best, especially for corn snakes specifically as well. So especially if you also live where it's like most places in the US, but places where it's not super extreme most of the time. Because if your power goes out, where I am in Indiana, pretty much any time of the year, my collection's going to be fine. The only exception to that is if it is super, super, super cold. Like it doesn't really get hot enough where I live to hurt my collection if the AC goes out.
Okay.
So like as long as you're in an area that they could live like at a survive at the temperature that it is outside, you're okay if that one space heater goes out. If that does that make sense?
It does.
And so like if you have the one space heater and that's the only thing that goes out, but at the same time, if you have other types of snakes like ball pythons or even some sort of desert king snakes and things that need a certain temperature to be, they're a little bit more temperature finicky, then you might have more issues with an ambient heating system. You might want to have something separate for those snakes. So this is coming from someone who only has colubrids that all need the exact same care. And they all are corn snakes and they're all very easy. Except for the one king snake that I have who gets special treatment because he does.
So they all have the same humidity requirements, everything. I gotcha.
Yeah, everything's the same. I just have a humidifier just in the room, and it turns on for like an hour a day or something. And then I might turn it on for a little longer if it's really dry outside, or I might just turn it off completely if it's really rainy, because I also usually have a window open in that room for fresh air and stuff like that. So they get as much of a natural as I can give them, a natural environment as I can give them. I don't know. I hope that answers your question. I tend to sort of start rambling and then forget where I was going.
No, that's and keep in mind, I don't have any snakes, but I do have reptiles, lots of reptiles. Yeah. We have all different humidity levels, and how great would it be to have just one room of bearded dragons, and I can just set the room to keep it very low humidity, where my skinks could be at a higher. That makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah. And so again, I'm a small scale breeder who I've always been able to keep my collection all in one room. Most of the time, even a big walk-in closet is big enough. I'm going to swap out this baby for an adult because I don't want to stress him out too much. His feeding day is tomorrow, so I don't want to overstress him today since he's just a little tiny baby. He's only a month old, so I don't want to stress him out too much. So do you want the big adult female or the sub-adult male? Which one?
The big female. I want to see what a big female actually looks like. Yeah.
Come here, girl.
And how many different genre or kinds of colubrids are there in the colubrid family?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head. It's probably hundreds of species. I don't know.
What do you keep that are colubrids?
Corn snakes and one king snake.
Oh, okay. You keep all corn snakes. Okay, that's even more than gotcha.
Yep. I am all corn snakes except for my one king snake who gets his special treatment. He has a special tank with his special stuff because he is a desert king snake. So he has just slightly different requirements. It's not that big of a difference, but he has his own space. Especially because I feel like it's kind of cruel to put a king snake in the same rack as his food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I smell food around me all the time, but can't have it, So he's off in a different corner of the room with his own space.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, he is my garbage
next to the fast food place. Yeah, no, don't do that.
Right, pretty much. Yeah, we would not want that. So here's my big girl. Her name is Soreo.
She's beautiful. And she's so red.
Yes, she's a hypomelanistic. So if she had black around her borders and jet black belly checkers instead of this gray, she would be just a normal. But the hypomelanism makes that black just fade into either a gray or a brown. And so that's where you're pretty much just left with red on red with a little bit of an orange tint. and that is just a hypo. And she's very happy to not be in the enclosure with the male right now. I think she's a little worn out. She's like, thank you, please get me away. Get me away. She has not bred for me yet this year. She doesn't like any of my boys, so I don't know what to do with it.
She's very particular. I like her style.
Yeah. We've had that a lot this year. I have one male that is very particular with his females, and a few females that are very particular with their males. So,
well, if you could choose any more to have her breed with, what would you like to see her breed with?
Well, she is a Keys. She's from Keys background, and she carries Anery, so she could have ghost corns. Oh. And I think she also carries a couple of other mutations, but ideally I would I want to breed her into my Flare line. Flare was the name of my very first corn snake, and the gray, both of the gray snakes that I had actually are like grandsons and great grandsons of Flare, my first corn snake. Oh, and cool. So her purpose in my collection is to outcross the Flare line and kind of focus it more in a Keys direction.
Right. Okay.
Like Florida Keys is what that means. They're just the type that are caught in the Florida Keys. They look a little bit different than your average normal, which could be why she looks so almost unicolor a little bit. Like, obviously you can tell it's two different colors, but she doesn't have the contrast of a typical corn snake. Right. And that's partially because of her Keys background. So her ancestors were caught in the Florida Keys. I love her. She's great. She's such a sweetheart. She's very mobile, and I appreciate that she exercises herself. I don't have to exercise her. When she's out, she wants to be out moving. And so I just let her. Some of the snakes, I have to like make them move. I'm like, no, you're not going to sit around and be lazy. You're going to move around. But I don't have to worry about that with her. She's relatively mobile on her own.
That's awesome.
And how old is she?
She is 5 or 6. I can't remember if she's 5 or 6.
Pretty.
Yeah. There she is. So let me see. Have I missed any questions in chat? I haven't really been looking.
I haven't seen anything else.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Although if anybody wants to ask questions, that's what I'm here for.
So if I was to get a corn snake, that's what they are, right? Corn snakes?
Yeah.
I get that right? Okay. What would be the best size enclosure?
Probably, I mean, it would be different for the different ages. I'd start out with something that's like, it depends. If you get a baby corn snake, I'd get something like close to like a 5-gallon size.
Oh, wow. That's small. Okay.
Yeah. For like a baby, because that's going to be more than enough room for them. And then once they're a year and a half old, maybe 2, then you'll want to, you could go ahead and probably upgrade them to like a 20-gallon. A lot of people get a 10, but I feel like a 10 is kind of just like not a reasonable size to get for corn snakes. Right. I feel like it's too big for a baby, but it's too small for an adult. And like by the time that a corn snake would outgrow a 5-gallon, they would be ready to jump up to a large size. 20-gallon has always been the sort of like smallest, like the smallest for an adult corn snake or something of similar size. But the standard is kind of getting bigger. It's heading more in the like 55-gallon or bigger. So
that's direction. Like a 4 foot long, maybe 1.5 foot deep.
Something like that.
Are they climbers? Like, would they want several layers or?
They could. Some of them like to climb. Some of them like to burrow. They kind of each have their own personalities.
Oh, okay.
She likes to climb. But some of them prefer to burrow. So it kind of just depends on, you'll learn. I mean, they have their own personalities. You'll learn what they like and what they don't like.
Yeah, what you're saying is exactly what I see with my with my group of my juveniles. Some of those are getting to be adults, but some of them are always out on the branches, and some of them are almost always burrowed.
Or some of them just wrap around the glasses.
Right.
Oh, look at that.
Well, that's a good thing to climb on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, super stable. Just rip it right off my face. Okay.
Bob, I see that you had a little necklace on.
That was Orchid. She came out a while ago, and she was getting jealous because it's a girl thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's a girl thing.
So I had
Jenny Lynn said hers is in a 3 foot by 18 by 18. Was that like a 40-gallon breeder size? Like lots of climbing and burrowing. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
So you have height, you have the depth. Okay. Now I know because I have tortoises, a lot of tortoises kind of thing, and Chinese water dragon, and they can't handle glass enclosures because they don't see glass as a barrier. So they constantly run into it and rub through it. Are snakes different than that?
I would say it's not constant. Like usually, at least with my snakes, they kind of pick a spot that they like to be in most of the time, and then that's where they'll be most of the time. And then like usually either they're most active at like dawn and dusk. I think that's called crepuscular or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that the word?
Crepuscular, yeah.
And so during those times they might be kind of moving around stuff that you would have in their enclosure. And I would say, it's enjoyment is not necessarily something that they have. They don't have like the area of the brain that has the same feelings that we do, but they do need like enrichment. Like they need to exercise their brains. So it is good to have things for them to climb on and things for them to move around and to maneuver around and different colors to see, and even rearranging enclosures once in a while to give them a little bit of like newness. It's good for them to have all of that so that they're not completely dumb. You know what I mean? Like they need to have some kind of enrichment in their lives. So excuse you, madam.
That's your personal space behind the lens.
Behind the lens and everything. My eyeball.
Yeah, I have a severe macaw, and I like to challenge her by hiding her special treats. So she has to dig for them, find them, search them out, and it's not just to keep her busy, but it's also to like challenge her mind because she's already figured out how to unlatch every gate I put up.
Yep, that's how it goes. Yep. And that was one reason one friend of mine swore on always feeding live mice to his corn snakes. And of course we usually say to not do that, but they would always feed live because they said it was more, it was just like, it would enrich their brain more, their muscles would get more exercise. And he also said that the females that would like had to like coil the prey or felt like they had to coil their prey and did usually were less likely to be egg bound. So and I think it was Steve Roylance who told me all this stuff. I'm not 100% sure.
That makes perfect sense. Like,
yeah, it does.
Yeah, and of course I prefer to feed frozen. I usually feed frozen, thawed, frozen thawed. But it was an interesting argument for feeding live, I thought. Because it helps with that muscle tone, and it gives them more brain enrichment, and they know how to fend for themselves if they need to. So let's see. When you're in personal trainer mode, how do you exercise the snakes? Just pretty much just doing this. Like I'll just sit here and just be holding them, making them move around. Like that's pretty much like the main thing you can do is just like make them move around, make them do things, make their bodies move. And if it's not just, if I can't do it, then I will sometimes put them, I have like one of these tubs that's really tall and put them in there. And I'll put some stuff in there sometimes for them to climb on or around. But as far as like day-to-day stuff, obviously people say to put stuff in their enclosure, like hides and fake leaves and stuff for them to climb on and stuff like that. But as far as me personally, when I'm handling them, it's mostly just me handling them. And I do this a lot. I did this with the male earlier, where
I used to do that with string and yarn.
yeah. And she's the one who is pushing, and I'm just moving my hand back and forth. So it's like she gets to move. She's moving out her muscles, and like she's also getting used to me. She's getting used to being handled by me, getting used to trusting me to hold her. Like I feel like there's a lot of benefits to doing something like this a lot. Let's see. The playpen is great for enrichment. Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to do with that big tub that I have, is kind of make an obstacle course for them. I haven't really done that yet. I mostly just will handle them, like get them used to being handled. Because that's one thing that I sort of pride myself on, is having snakes with good personalities. Because you can breed for personality. It's not always going to be a one-to-one. Like obviously not every baby from a really nice snake is going to be really nice, and not every baby from a really mean snake is going to be really mean. But it's much more likely to happen if you have nice parents that are more docile and more used to being handled and more accepting of people and tolerant of people. Then the babies will usually be that way also. And so I like to make sure that they're used to being handled. I like to handle them, a reasonable amount. Like I don't want to stress them out, like handle them, for example, the baby that I had earlier that I put back, that was way more handling than that baby has ever had in its life. It's good. I mean, like usually with little babies like that, it's 5 to 10 minutes at a time, and that's it. Maybe once a week, because I don't want to overstress them, but I do want them to get used to being handled. If that makes sense.
It does.
And with adults, it's not as big of a deal. Anything that's a year old or older is not going to be as stressed out by things like moving to a new enclosure or being handled more than usual. The older the snake is, to a point, the easier they can handle basic stressors like that. There we go.
I don't know about other breeds, but I know a lady that I follow keeps carpet pythons, and she says she has mazes that she switches out the routes in them, and her snakes seem to really enjoy that.
Okay.
And it gets them thinking. So
yeah, that's a good idea.
So what can a snake climb up on? Like, let's say you had a 4-foot enclosure made of glass, can they get out? Versus plastic, could they get out? Versus like cork bark, I would imagine they could.
I mean, they can't climb on glass or plastic, but they are so strong. Like a lot of times they'll get up in the corner of a tank and shimmy up,
Yeah.
And they're strong enough that if they can get their head up on the top of a lip of an enclosure, they can pull the rest of their body up.
Oh my.
And they will go along the edge of the top of an enclosure until they fall down. And a lot of people will message me shortly after getting a corn snake, and they'll be like, I kept hearing something falling in his enclosure and I couldn't figure out what it is. Turns out it was him. He kept climbing up, going along the lip, and then falling down.
Fell in.
And so they are notorious for that. They're little Houdinis. They'll get out of anything. If there's a hole, they'll get out of it, which is another reason why I would not put a baby snake in a big enclosure, because unfortunately for those bigger enclosures, there's usually more opportunity for escape. There's usually slightly larger holes, or, it's not as tight fitting. And so I usually recommend for a baby corn snake, like a large critter keeper size. Critter spelled Kritter, critter keeper, Keeper. I usually recommend that, or like a large faunarium. those little enclosures that have like the snap tops on them, are those are pretty nice for baby corn snakes. That or like a 5-gallon aquarium. I generally don't like aquariums because they don't have very much airflow, but a lot of people successfully keep corn snakes in aquariums with no issues at all. And so like that's fine. It's if that's what works for you, that's awesome. I personally don't love aquariums, but I know I used to keep my snakes in aquariums, so you can do it successfully without any issues. I also just don't like glass. Glass breaks, and I don't really like that.
It's hard to, it's not very insulating either. I mean, I use them for all of my reptiles, I guess, but the insulation's the problem I run into most of the time, keeping it the temp I want. So.
Oh, because it cools down with the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
The ambient temperature makes sense.
Yep. That's why I like ambient temperature, because that's the temperature. Everything's at temperature. I don't have to worry about it. But again, that's convenient for me because I have an extra room in my home and all of the same species. So it's not going to work for everybody, and I understand that.
Right. I would love for that for my fish room. Just to have it at like 78 degrees, 75 degrees, and not remove the heaters, but unplug every heater in my fish tank.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep. That would be nice. We have 2 fish tanks. They're both just guppy tanks. And we keep the males in one tank and the females in the other. That doesn't seem to stop the females from popping out babies, but we tried. We tried.
Do any of your snakes eat fish?
No, I have considered. I've considered getting garter snakes just to have something that'll eat fish, but
garter snakes are community snakes, aren't they?
Yeah, so I have to get a few. That's I mean, it's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna do that, I might as well get like a trio, like, and then it starts. Then it starts a whole other
now
thing.
You have a whole other kind of
I know. Now I got a whole other problem to deal with, and nah, I'm good. I'll just buy some carnivorous fish and throw them in. It's fine.
I gotcha. That's funny.
One of the things I forget all the time, when we were talking before the stream, I was telling you how I'd really gotten into rat snakes, and as if corn snakes are not red right. Rat snakes, they're rat snakes.
They are. Yeah. I figured that you meant other, like, rat snakes other than corn snakes. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm being called. Go away. Oh my goodness.
That sounds like the Sheik of Araby or something music.
That was the theme song to a YouTube channel called Game Theory.
Oh. Okay.
I've been a fan of theirs for like ever, and they the guy who used to run it just retired. So isopods will eat fish. I don't have isopods though. I don't have that either. I'm gonna put her back. She's getting tired. I just
got 10 isopods last night at the Bucks County Aquarium Society. I'm so excited. 10 I think they're called dairy cows.
Oh, I love those.
So they're the black and white isopods, and I put them in here with my crested gecko, and I am so excited.
Yeah. Oh, so this is, you can see he also has those white spots along his body.
Does.
This is her uncle.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
He looks lavender. He looks different.
He is a charcoal. This is the same boy I had earlier.
Is it?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And do all those snakes have that checkered belly?
All of the ones that I have in like currently out here to show you do, but if you get different morphs will remove the belly checkers.
Okay.
So if you get like motley, stripe, sometimes tessera, terrazzo, like there's a nice handful of morphs usually that also like kind of change the way the pattern looks up here as well, but they'll remove the belly checkers. You can get like super masks that pretty much have the same pattern up here, but remove almost all of the checkers.
Oh, so I love that belly though. I think that is so amazing.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Absolutely.
He says
Oh,
hi.
you're talking about isopods? I could use isopods desperately so. I'm outside hunting them right now, putting down flavorful bark in hopes that they go to it, and then I'll flip it over. And because isopods eat poop, so I put them in the bearded dragon enclosure, and it cleans up the.
Yeah. That makes sense.
They eat sheds too. They love sheds, especially if they're moistened a little bit every now and then.
Okay.
Well,
That's
that is
good to know.
Pepsi. That is Pepsi. I'm sorry,
Yep, that's Pepsi.
Boots and cats knew.
Yeah. It just looked, the color looked different when you held him up close.
It could be because the lighting in this, like my camera will adjust the lighting.
I saw that
the temperature. So
moved. Like, whoa, she's got some fancy lighting over there.
Yeah, there's a very limited number of things that can plug into my laptop. So due to the microphone and everything else, my mouse and my headset, we had to give up on a separate camera. So
Gotcha.
He's a sweetie.
He's very well behaved.
Yeah, he's a flare line baby. He's the grandson of my first corn snake.
And that's the one you might want to breed with the
yeah.
She's liking him.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? She's not fancying him?
Yeah, she's not a huge fan of him. And then I have his brother, who is the father of the normal female that I have out. He is another one that I wouldn't mind breeding to her, but he doesn't like her.
Oh,
so
man.
We have this love triangle that is preventing me from progress. And I don't have any other males related to this project that are breeding ready. So it has to be one of these two boys or it's fine.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, they already bred. Like, he's already bred to 2 or 3 females. His brother bred to 2 or 3 females. Both of his sisters have bred to a couple different males. Like, I have a ton of snakes in this project. There he goes. There he goes again.
Oh, I love how you do that. I really do. That's so cool.
Oh yeah, it's with every snake. That's it. It wears them out, but in like a healthy way. And then they kind of just stop eventually. There he is.
Oh, awesome.
Sam said the I word. I won't say it because we definitely get demonetized.
Well, I know with guppies, that's an issue if you don't introduce new bloodlines. Like,
well, that's what this female is for. That's why she is here.
I got you. Okay, that makes sense.
She is the new blood that I'm putting into the line. His dad was also new blood, so that's why I have these new these snakes. Like, that's what her whole purpose is in my collection. So he's the grandson, and obviously his brother is his I can't even remember how. It must be a cousin. Let's see, what's her name? No, it's his sister. Her name's Cola, of course. Okay. So Cola bred this year. Yeah. I have Pepsi, Cola, Sprite, and Bark, like Bark's root beer. So Sprite was the ghost, who is his sister. She was not really big enough to breed this year. She did lay 4 infertile eggs kind of out of the blue earlier this year, but they didn't hatch. They were just infertile eggs, but I thought that was kind of weird. So because of that, I'm not going to breed her again. I don't like to double clutch my females in the same year, two clutches in the same year. I feel like that's just too much on them. So since she kind of laid a false clutch early in the year, she's not going to be breeding. But his other sister, Cola, bred to another male that I'm outcrossing to, and then he bred to a different female that I outcrossed to last year as well. So I have a ton of outcrossing just to make sure that things do not get inbred like that. Okay. The Halo project is going super well. I actually have 2 females that are new to the Halo project that are unrelated from this year. They are 2 coral snow females. One of them is also super yellow. Like she's got some weird yellowing going on. I'll have to post photos of her at some point when I have a camera that's actually good enough to pick up her like colors, because her colors are crazy. But so I have 2 new unrelated females in that project, and I'm excited. It's just going. So I had one female that I hatched in 2021, I think, and this is her first year breeding. She's a Halo Snow, and I was trying to breed her to another Halo Snow male, but she escaped around the same time that a different male had escaped. And then I walked in one morning and found them breeding in the middle of the floor.
Oh,
And I posted to my members on my YouTube channel the video of that happening. So if anybody would like to go to my channel and be a member, you get to see those videos. If you are at the $2 a month, you get all those videos. So just in case you wanted to, whatever. Not that it means anything to me, but I would also love it. Whatever.
Awesome.
So yeah, I can't remember where I was going, but the Halo project, it's going really good. It's going really good. So this year we're still dealing with but we might also get Halo Snows out of that breeding. We should, because the male is Het Snow. The thing is, the male is also Het Golden, which means I'm going to be keeping all those babies, because Golden Halo Snows, I kind of want to see what that looks like eventually. So her babies will not be available to the public at first. But I do have 2 other pairs. I have a Halo Snow, or I'm sorry, I have a Green Blotch Snow female that went to a Halo Snow male. And then I have a another Halo Snow female that went to, I think she bred to the Green Blotched Snow male that I have. But she may also have bred to a different male, because I was trying a couple different males at the same time, because none of the males were really interested, but I could tell that she was ovulating. And so 2 males kind of got her around the same time. So we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be obvious who the dad is, because either we're going to get all Snows or we'll get like some normals. And if we get normals, we'll know that the normals were sired by the one male. Like if we get normals and amels, then I'll know that it was that male. And if we get all Snows, I'll know it was the other male. So, but there's still Halos. Like there are Halos coming. So don't worry. There's always going to be Halos coming. That's like my main project. Like I have a lot of snakes in the Flare project. And the reason that I have a lot of snakes in the Flare project is because the Flare project has so many different morphs. There's charcoal, hypo, anery, diffused, sun-kissed, red coat, motley. And then now I've introduced Amel on 2 different sides. I've introduced Buff on one of the sides. So there's all of these different morphs. And so each of those morphs, eventually I'm kind of going to morph, like put into their own project. So like eventually I'm going to have like just like some pewters, and like I'll do all like the charcoals will kind of all be in their own project. And then the like ghosts will kind of all be on their own project. In fact, I'm going to, I got some Spectre line snakes. For those who know what Spectre ghosts are, they're kind of an uncommon line of ghosts. And so I got a Spectre that I'm going to be putting into the Flare line to sort of try to get a little bit of that. And also the ghosts that come out of my Flare line look kind of Spectre-ish. So it's just going to be my take on that line also. It's just a whole bunch of projects. There's just so many. It's so many. I can't. There's too many.
I'm going to ask, because I know people are wondering, how many snakes do you have there?
So adults wise, like ones that are like I consider to be keepers, and this includes both adults and subadults and yearlings, about 100.
Wow.
That's yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, my husband has started helping me as well, work with them. He does some of the social media stuff now. He's going to be redoing my website, so like he's been a great help with it. But yeah, about 100 snakes, and then I expect, I don't know, a very large number of eggs this year. I don't even know how many. I
Yeah.
currently have I have about 40 incubating right now, maybe 30. It's probably close. It's somewhere between 30 and 40 eggs incubating. But then I have like, I don't know, 20 females that are gravid, and each one of them will lay somewhere between 10 and 20 eggs. So we'll be busy.
Yeah, you will.
We'll be busy. I tried to stagger breedings so that I wouldn't have to feed, like 300 babies a week. I could kind of feed, 100 here, and then once they're done, kind of sell some of them off, and then the next batch would hatch, and then feed them, and then, as they hatch, other ones are getting sold off. But unfortunately, the snakes had a different plan this year, and all of them are pretty much gravid all at the same time and will probably lay eggs at the same time, and all the eggs will hatch at the same time because that's how it goes. How long do eggs take to incubate? I say 65 days ish. So what I usually do when I'm like calculating, so let's say the eggs were laid today. I would usually go ahead and go 2 months out. So it's 5-3. I would say 7-3, and then I'd usually tack a week onto that, give or take. So like if a clutch was laid today, I would expect them between like 7-10 to 7-15. So like July 10th to July 15th. But it kind of also depends on temperature. If you're incubating them in like the low to mid 80s, it'll take more like 60 to 63 days. If you incubate them kind of more in the like high 70s to low 80s, it'll take a little bit longer, more like the 65 to 70 days. And you really don't want to incubate too much lower than like 75 degrees. Some people have done that, and it takes like 75 to 80 days sometimes for babies to hatch when you do that, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Usually people say grow them, low and slow is what people say, low and slow, because then you hatch bigger babies because the babies incubated longer, and so they hatch out bigger. But at the end of the day, it also depends on the size of the eggs themselves. So sometimes, like if you have a small egg, that baby is just going to hatch sooner. So there's some factors with that. But generally speaking, because I just keep all of my eggs in the snake room, they have their own little incubating containers, which are the same type of containers that I keep babies in. They're usually like, I want to say 8 inches by 4 inches by 2 inches, kind of like little food type containers. And when they're just in the snake room stays about 82 degrees. It usually takes like 65 days. So
it's a little bit longer than.
Sorry.
I was just going to say that's a little longer than ball pythons, about a week longer.
Really? I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, 55 to 60 days. 60s an average.
Yeah, I'm looking, most years I actually end up hatching between 65 and 70 days. And sometimes, especially like the later clutches in the year, and I don't know why this is, but they will usually incubate even longer. So sometimes they're up to like 75 days.
Well, sometimes there's certain reptiles that the higher the temperature changes the gender. Is that anywhere true for snakes?
Some snakes, yes. With corn snakes, they do say that the higher the temperature, more likely a male. But it's not always 100%. But the lower temperatures are going to typically be more likely female. It's not as like cut and dry as it is with some species, though. Like with guppies, like when I want more males then I know that I can just change that temperature. If I want more females, I know I can just change that temperature. But it's not quite as solid with corn snakes.
That makes sense.
Bob, you look like you're being choked. Are you being choked there?
No, I got up just to walk around a minute, and she was draped across the back of that chair because she was getting all of this heat from all this size, and she was looking over here at me like, "Why did you get up?" So I just now put her back on me. So
How dare you move? Where are you going?
any other questions or comments? Bob likes choking. Shh, honey. Get us demonetized.
Yes, Jenny Lynn. That's why I was asking, because I know leopard geckos is like that.
I think some of the turtles are like that too, aren't they?
I don't know of any, but that's
I don't know.
I don't know. Don't want to put out any misinformation.
The only turtles I'd like to breed would be my Reeves turtles or the redfoot tortoises. They're the only ones I'm looking to breed.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
All right. Floyd says, any more questions? Get your comment in.
Hi, Floyd.
Hi, Floyd. Hey, buddy.
He's been in here the whole time. I only had to mute myself once at the start. So.
He's so cute. I love him so much.
He's a mess.
I love him.
And don't like snakes would love to eat a bird? Like,
yeah, but like a corn snake's not gonna do anything to that bird.
No.
You know, like that bird could bite a snake's head off. Like nothing.
Well, Floyd could do it too. I can tell you, he could do it.
Oh, I know.
They don't mess with each other.
I think that, at least I hope that most of my snakes would be smarter than that.
Yeah. Hey, sweetie. Hey,
cool.
Sweetie.
Well, this was a great stream. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Sorry it's been so long. It has been so crazy busy. I've barely had time to get my own videos out. In fact, I just went live right before this podcast and played a game called Snake Tales or something like that. Because normally my video would go out on Friday at 5:30. But I did not have time to make a video this week. So I went live and played a game and just talked to chat instead. So if anybody wants to go check that out, we would appreciate it. And thank you. Thank you again for having me on.
I commented on that because I saw that. Was that you that had the 21-year-old corn snake? I saw a picture of a 21-year-old corn snake. I got on corn snakes. Of course, as soon as I clicked on you, then all the corn snake stuff was sent to me.
I have had a snake that old, but I don't think that I made a video on that.
Okay. Somebody has one they posted today. It's pretty cool. Beautiful.
Nice.
All right. Well, if no other questions or comments, then we will let you go. We sure appreciate it. And I'm glad that your significant other, your husband, is helping you now, because I know he wasn't at first.
That's great.
Well, I tell you what, like we went to some reptile shows, and I have this. I should have gotten him out, but I didn't. Another charcoal male who's as big as my big female. His name's Gambit, and my husband and Gambit are best friends. And so every time we go to a reptile show, my husband will just stand and hold Gambit the whole time. Gambit's gonna be my. I'm breeding him for personality. Literally, the only reason he's still in my collection is because he has a great personality. I'm gonna try to give him a nice female at least once a year because he's so sweet.
Very nice.
So yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have at least one snake that my husband likes, and he really likes the palmetto that I have. He's like, I want to make sure we keep her. I was like, don't worry, she's my only palmetto. I'm gonna keep her.
Those are still so expensive. All right. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks. See you guys.
Thank you, Susie, and thank you, Chat, and thank you, Mods, and good night.
Night, guys.
Bye. And.